geostrategic implications of Iran's election playing out across the region and far beyond. By now, you've probably heard that this man, ultra-conservative cleric Ebrahim Raisi, will be Iran's new president. His election on Friday already causing geopolitical ripples, along with big questions on the status of the Iran nuclear deal. Raisi laying out Iran's objectives in a news conference today and throwing the onus for restoring the deal to its original parameters on the United States, saying the US must return to the deal it withdrew from in an expedited manner. Raisi speaking out on the deal after the latest round of talks to restore it wrapped up in Vienna. Negotiators returning to their home countries for instructions, and officials from both sides are now speaking out. The top EU official chairing the talk saying we are closer to a deal, but we are still not there. Iran's top nuclear negotiator voicing similar sentiments, saying we are now closer to a deal than at any time in the past, but it doesn't mean that we are there. Well, America's national security advisor commenting on Raisi's election on CNN. Have a listen.
The person who makes the decision about whether Iran will go back into the Iran nuclear deal, will assume its nuclear obligations under international law, is not the president of Iran, it is the supreme leader of Iran. And that person did not change from before the election until after the election.
Well, Israel's new prime minister with a blunt warning to world leaders about Iran's government. Naftali Bennett saying it's, quote, the last chance for the world powers to wake up. These guys, he says, are murderers, mass murderers. We've got reporters all over the map for you covering this story tonight from Tehran, Jerusalem and in Washington. Fred Pleitkin, first up, is in Tehran, where he questioned the Iranian president-elect at a news conference today, connecting us now from the capital. You had the opportunity to put a question to Ebrahim Raisi, the president-elect. What did you ask and what did he tell you?
Hi there, Becky. Well, this news conference was for Ebrahim Raisi to explain some of his policy, things that he wants to do to both the domestic and, of course, the international press as well. And it was quite interesting because the sense that we got is that foreign policy is going to play a big role in this administration. We have to keep in mind that Ebrahim Raisi essentially was elected into government mostly because the economy here is obviously not doing very well, also because there is a big need, as many people see it, to fight corruption. Those are certainly things where he said there was going to be some of the emphasis, but he certainly also said that Iran is going to have a very, very forceful and very active foreign policy as well. And it certainly looks like, from what we heard today and what I heard from Ebrahim Raisi, that the U.S. is going to be in for a pretty tough ride. He was asked by one reporter whether or not he would ever sit down with U.S. President Biden, and he flat out said no. No explanation, nothing. He just said no. I asked him whether or not he would actually talk to the Biden administration possibly at some point, or if his administration would, or if he would be willing to accept at least negotiations for something like an expanded nuclear agreement. Let's listen into what he had to say.
First of all, sir, thank you much for taking our question. You've already told us how you feel about a direct meeting with President Biden. But would you be willing to talk to and negotiate with the Biden administration? Would your administration be willing to do that? What do you expect of the Biden administration? And how do you feel about the U.S. proposal for a possible expanded nuclear agreement that would also cover Iran's ballistic missiles and also regional issues as well?
My serious proposal to the United States government is for them to return in an expedient manner to their commitments and do away with sanctions. In doing so, they would prove their sincerity. Regional and missile issues are not up for negotiations.
There you have it, Ebrahim Raisi saying that Iran's ballistic missile program is not up for negotiation. The Iranians are also saying that any sort of regional issues as far as Iran's actions here in the region are concerned, also not up for negotiation with the United States or with anybody else. However, the Iranians did say, and Ebrahim Raisi did say, that they plan to be very active not just in this region, but around the entire world, but of course in this region specifically. One of the other things, Becky, that we took from this press conference as well, which was very interesting, is that Ibrahim Raisi is also in favor of continuing negotiations, for instance, with Saudi Arabia to try and get those relations somewhat back on track. Of course, those have already been started under the current administration, as you see somewhat of a détente between these two regional rivals. He also said that nothing is going to change as far as Israel is concerned for Iran at all under this new administration, Becky.
Yeah, fascinating to hear him talk about seeking some sort of rapprochement with Saudi Arabia and the possibility of reopening embassies. I mean, we are hearing behind the scenes around this region. Of course, I speak to you from Abu Dhabi here in the Gulf. We are hearing about this process that has now been going on for some time in these countries, seeking better relations, as it were, with Iran. If that's not the headline all the time, then that's certainly going on behind the scenes. Fred, you also spoke to someone considered up and coming, as it were, in the Iranian sort of infrastructure. You asked him about foreign policy. Who was it? And what did he tell you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is Hossein Amir Abdollahian, who was the deputy foreign minister of Iran a couple of years ago in the early stage of the Rouhani administration, but especially in the Ahmadinejad administration. This is someone who's very well entrenched in the foreign policy elite here, very close to Ibrahim Raisi and Ibrahim Raisi's people, and very much in the know about what the foreign policy of the Ibrahim Raisi administration is going to look like, and in many ways probably also shaping that policy as well. And the main takeaway that we have from him is he said that there is going to be an active and a very dynamic foreign policy, especially in this region, but also indeed around the world. And there clearly seems to be a foreign policy plan for Iran, which very much focuses on Iran's national interests. Let's listen in.
من تصور میکنم سیاست خارجی دولت آقای
I believe the foreign policy under Mr. Raisi will be active and dynamic.
آل و پویا
A foreign policy that is balanced with an eye towards all countries,
نگاه به همه
with a logical and at the same time strong discourse.
منطقی
A discourse that will be able to secure Iranian rights on all fronts.
در همه زمینه‌ها به خوبی تامین کنه.
And how do you think the relations with the United States will evolve under Ibrahim Raisi? Because he's been very critical of the United States in the past.
It's the United States that has constantly lost opportunities. This will be much dependent on US behavior and for them to determine how they will be able to adjust the relationship with Iran.
Is there a different feeling, though, towards this administration, the Biden administration, than there was to the Trump administration?
من فکر میکنم
I believe that if Biden is seeking to return to the nuclear agreement, he should not be bringing new things up, like the region and missiles and interfering in Iran's affairs. And the US should focus on their return to the JCPOA and the commitments that they have under the agreement.
Did you have faith that the Iran nuclear agreement will come back on track?
من فکر
I
میکنم
assume that the moment the Vienna talks comes to a point where the interests of our people will be secured, the implementation of the JCPOA can be started.
میتونه وارد مرحله اجرا بشه.
And that, of course, feeds into those negotiations that you were talking about, Becky, way at the top of the show that are ongoing currently in Vienna. This incoming administration, the Raisi administration, says it's possible to bring the nuclear agreement back. Obviously, the current Iranian administration, really all negotiators who are there in Vienna or have been there in Vienna over the past couple of weeks, they hope to get that deal done before Ibrahim Raisi takes office, simply because with a new administration here in Iran, you would have a lot of different negotiators who would be coming to Vienna. A lot of things would have to be picked up again. So they're trying to get that deal done before the new president takes office. But then the big question, of course, is can that deal last, Becky?